How we going, guys? Welcome to another Lives Hogs Vlogs, and we're talking about the retentions in the auction. So let's roll bumper shubs and get right into it and get to the questions as well. Well, thanks very much for joining me, everyone that's on there now. Crick Revolution, the cricketer, Nikki Tripathi. Tripathi, we're going to talk about him later on as well. I think he could be going into the auction with the two new teams. That's if Ahmedabad get their ownership sorted out. But the retentions, what I'm very impressed with is Rajasthan Royals investing in Jaswell. I think it's great to have one of those uncapped players in your list. Sunrisers Hyderabad, I'm just looking at the list now. Samad and Malik, very good options of retaining two uncapped players and investing in the youth moving forward, because they could have gone for a lot of money, especially Malik, in the auction just because of his extra pace. So it's really good to see some franchises investing in the youth and keeping Kane Williamson there as the captain. The other one that I was really interested in, let's move along, Mumbai Indians. Well, they were just going to be regulation, but I was very surprised with KKR going with Andre Russell up front, Chakravarti only giving him 8 crore. I thought he was worth a lot more than that. And Venkatesh Iyer, I was very impressed with them going after him. That was a big call there, because he's only new to the scene, only played a handful of games, and you make a big investment like that on a young player like that. I just really love the way that they've backed him in, and also going with Narayan as well. So they've got two quality spinners there. I think Andre Russell going up there for 12 crore. I think they could have put him back in the auction because he's a bit hit and miss, especially with his bowling, and he's a big hitter out the back end of the innings. Yes, he wins you the odd games, but his consistency isn't there for that type of money. That's probably the only issue that I have with him. Delhi Capitals investing in youth. Absolutely love that. I thought they might have gone with Avish Khan with the uncapped player list, but they didn't. They went with their match winners, which was really good there. Chennai Super Kings. Now, I was saying, sorry, Shubs, I didn't see you putting them down. MS Dhoni at 12 crore. Now, when I was initially looking at the auction and so forth, and then looking at their list, I thought they might have been able to go with two overseas players and go with Faf du Plessis in that as well, or go with Tarkor. But looking at the investment there, MS Dhoni's going to lead the team again. If he only plays for 1 year, then they've got 12 crore left in the following auction, so they can invest there. So very smart there by Chennai Super Kings to keep him as a leader for 1 more year. And then those other players that are in the auction, some of them haven't performed as well as they should. They might be able to pick them up a lot cheaper than spending a lot of money on that. So basically, when you're looking at an auction like this, it's a business decision, as well as a longevity decision, as well as the quality of the players. And what they've done there, Chennai Super Kings have picked quality youth for the long-term future. And Garkaward, I think he's going to be a big one there. Let's go to RCB as well. We got Virat Kohli, Glenn Maxwell. He's only had 1 good year in IPL cricket, and that was last year. So they're reinvesting in him, which is okay. If he doesn't come off, well, you can put him in the auction, and you've got 11 crore moving down the track. And Siraj, I think Siraj over Chahal. I don't think Chahal wanted to stay there. I think he's looking for a bit more money in the auction, and I don't think he's going to get it. But you've got to invest in your Indian fast bowlers when you've got a quality Indian fast bowler. So Virat Kohli, Siraj, they have invested in 2 quality Indian players. Maxwell, I like that. One thing that they could have done is picked up Padikal in the uncapped column, because I think he's going to be a quality player and he's going to be someone for the future. Kings, I think they've done really well there. They've picked up 1 rookie player in Singh and kept Mayank Agarwal, just a quality Indian player, but they didn't spend too much. They only had 1 cap player and 1 uncapped player, so they've got plenty of money in the caps to move forward. So what does that leave? So if I'm looking at the other two teams, that's if Ahmedabad get going and move forward. I've just got a few notes here that I want to go forth with. I'd pick one uncapped player and one capped Indian player. So for me, Rahul would be the one and Kishan would be the other capped player that I'd go after, because Rahul's a good quality leader and he's very consistent. But I'd go with Kishan because he's a match winner off his own bat, and he's won a number of games for the Mumbai Indians. So I'd invest heavily in him. But then I'd go for two rookie Indian players. I'd go with Avish Khan. If Harsha Patel was still available and didn't play for India just a couple of months ago or about a month ago, I would have gone for him as well. But because he's capped, I would leave him in the auction and hopefully I can pick him up cheaply. But I'd go with Avish Khan. And this one is going to be a very interesting one. I would go with Tripathi from the Kolkata Knight Riders because he's uncapped. He had a good year last year, had a good strike rate, and won a number of games for KKR off the bat, coming out number 3. So that's a little bit iffy, or that's a little surprise one there. Shikhar Dhawan, I'd leave in the auction. I wouldn't go after him. There's also Bishnoi that I'd think about going for, but is he a genuine wicket taker? He's got a very good economy, but the wicket taking column is something that's of interest to me. And out of the overseas players, I wouldn't go with David Warner. His strike rate's not good enough. The game has evolved. He needs to improve his strike rate. I would go after someone like a Johnny Bairstow with the batting, or with the bowling, Rabada or Rashid Khan. Rashid Khan will definitely get picked up by one of those two teams. Anyway, that's the retention. Let's go on and go to your questions, please, Shubs. Actually, I better put my glasses on. I can't take my glasses off because of I'm getting old and I can't read. Okay, let's get the first question up, please, Shubs. Thanks very much for everyone for joining me. Sorry about that. The cricketer, how you going? The Lucknow offered 10 crore to Siraj. RCB offered him 7 crore for retention. Siraj accepted 7 crore to play for RCB. Any reason for that? Because he feels at home with RCB. He feels comfortable. And I think if you look in the history as well, they've backed Siraj moving forward. They've helped him develop. They've given him that opportunity, and I think he wants to repay that. And look, in sport, this is another good point, the cricketer that you bring up, Sam Colgan. Sam Colgan, the cricketer. You're over in Adelaide. Loyalty in sport is not there anymore. We have a lot of players chasing the money, and that's the big thing with the IPL auction. That's why I really love what Siraj has done here, stuck with RCB, and this is why he's developing as a quality cricketer, and he's going to play a lot for India, is because he puts the team first rather than his wealth first. 7 crore is a pretty good pay packet. An extra 3 crore in the pay packet would be very nice to the wallet, but it's no point in playing in a franchise that you don't know about. And you're playing with Virat Kohli, who's the captain of India as well, and staying around him and creating a good relationship with Virat Kohli is going to make it a lot easier in the transition when he plays Test cricket and one-day international cricket under the captaincy of Virat Kohli, because he gets that understanding. So it's more of a future decision and more of a personal relationship decision with Virat Kohli. Very good question there, Sam Colgan. Hope all is well with you in Adelaide. Okay, Vinay, how you going? Hi, Hoggy. I think Iyer could now be captain of RCB if he goes into the auction, because they also need a captain after Virat Kohli is not captain of them. Exactly right, Vinay, and that's why you look at the two new franchises coming in. Do you want to go with Shreyas Iyer? Probably not with his strike rate with the Delhi Capitals last year, but sitting in with RCB with a Glenn Maxwell and a Virat Kohli around him, RCB should go heavily out Shreyas Iyer because he's going to be a future leader for India, but also he's going to learn from the present Test captain and one-day captain in Virat Kohli as well, so he can help him with his leadership skills there. And because of that low strike rate and because of the big hitters or the more versatile players in Virat Kohli and Glenn Maxwell around him, that will free him up to improve his batting and to bat through the innings, and hopefully he can do what a Virat Kohli and a AB de Villiers do, and that's really power home in the back end because he's got the potential. We saw it in the Test match. Well done to Iyer in the Test match. What a wonderful innings for debut. He's just got to expand that on his T20 career, and that's why the Delhi Capitals didn't retain him. They retained Prithvi Shaw over Iyer because Prithvi Shaw's got a higher strike rate than Shreyas Iyer, and that's what you're looking for in T20 cricket. Okay, let's go to the next question, please, Shubs. Thanks very much for that, Vinay. Pranay Gopinath, how you going? I like the hat there, mate, and the crown. Hey, Hoggy, do you think that RCB made a bad choice of not retaining Harsha Patel? You can really look at this, and as I said up at the start there, if he wasn't captain, hadn't played for India just recently, I think he's just played the two T20 games for India. If that hadn't happened, RCP would have tried to retain him on the uncapped list, and that would have given them a little bit more money in the auction pool when we go to the auction next year. So that's probably why for the reasoning why they haven't picked up Harsha Patel, because just that extra 2 crore might make the difference of a better player and a better list down the track. So that's probably why they haven't got him on that particular list. Very good question, that one. And he's only had one good year, and they've invested heavily in Glenn Maxwell with the one good year as well. So you just want to make sure that you can back yourself up and hopefully get him for a reasonable price in the auction as well. So and with the other players that are available for the other two teams to pick up, it's not likely that Harsha Patel is going to go for 11 crore or 15, 16 crore in those other auctions with those two other teams as well. So he'll be in the auction. So RCB will get an opportunity with that. Good question there, Pranav. Next question, please, Shubs. Vishnu Jayanti, how you going, mate? Good to see you again. And I love that suit. I need one of those. I love the colour blue. I wanted to know who would captain KKR as they released Morgan. Well, they've released Morgan, and they're not going to pay big bucks for Owen Morgan just to be the leader of the team. So he goes back in the auction, and with the way that he performed in the IPL last year, I don't think he's going to go for a lot of money in next year's auction unless he does something outrageous for England in the near future. But I think they still might pick him up in the auction, and he still might be their captain next year. So we've got to wait to see who they pick and what their list is at the end of January next year. So let's wait and see for that. But I wouldn't be surprised if Morgan ends up being captain of KKR moving forward, even though he's been released. And if you listen to Stephen Fleming with CSK, yes, they have to release a lot of players. Mumbai Indians have to release a lot of players as well. But CSK aren't expecting the two other teams to pick up any of their players, and they're expecting to pick up most of their players from what they've had over the last couple of years. And that's the way CSK operate. They try and keep that core group together, same with Mumbai Indians. But the Mumbai Indians are in a little bit of trouble because I think the likes of Kishan, the Pandya boys, I think there's a lot of interest in those particular players moving forward. Okay, next question, please, Shubs. Austin Dacuna, good to see you, mate. Do you think Warner or Iyer can be RCB captain? I wouldn't invest in Warner. I'd go with Iyer. You want to get Indian talent there for the long haul. David Warner, at the present moment, I think with 10 teams, I think he can dominate in the IPL moving forward, but I wouldn't get him in there as the captain. I'd go with an Indian captain. And I think that RCB and with Virat Kohli there, they'll be looking to get someone like an Iyer and give him that experience for the future of Indian cricket, even though T20 cricket and franchise cricket isn't really interested in that. But I think RCB will be looking to do that down the track. So I don't think Warner will be there. I think Warner might end up out Kings 11. And that's one of the hardest places to play because you've got a lot of travel. And if you're up there, up north in Chandigarh, then you've got to have 2 flights to get to most destinations, and it takes a long time. So I think it's a bit tough, and I think they might get David Warner up there to captain Kings 11. Players RCB may go for in the auction. Now, Austin, you're a very big RCB fan. I think they're definitely going to go after Chahal, even though Chahal has tried to leave for a bit better money. And I think they'll go for a couple of overseas batters. And I think they'll be hoping that Patekal is still in the list and they'll invest in him, hopefully getting for a little bit cheaper. And if they get Shreyas Iyer, they'll probably have him bat out 3, Maxwell out 4, have Patekal and Virat Kohli opening the batting, and I think they'll be trying to find a big hitter, someone like a Hardik Pandya maybe, in that lower order to finish off the innings, because that's something they lack, and they'd hope that Hardik Pandya can bowl as well, and they'll be looking for some overseas quicks as well. So they'll try and invest heavily in the top order with Indian batters around Maxwell and Virat Kohli, and heavily in overseas fast bowlers and some Indian spin. So that's how I'd see them stacking up. My picks: Kishan, Bairstow, Curran, Stoinis, Stokes, Rabada, Archer, Livingston. Your surprise retention. No, I wouldn't retain any of those particular players. Rabada, Archer, fast bowlers. You don't know what their workload's going to be over the next year, so you don't want to invest heavily on them. Stokes, he's been hit and miss. He's missed a couple of tours for England, so do you really want that around your group? He might not turn up type scenario. So there's a lot over him to invest heavily on a health side. Stoinis, I wouldn't have retained him. I would put him back in the auction. And the other 3 there, Kishan, probably the only one that I would have thought that Mumbai would have had a chance of retaining Ishan Kishan. But the other guys, I wouldn't have retained any of them, just on a business decision, because I think I'd get them a lot cheaper in the auction. Good question there, Austin. Or good number of questions. You made me think. All right, Dhruva Kanwar, how are you going? As a Sky fan, really happy to see him retained. As an unbiased analyst, do you think Kishan over Sky would have been better? I think they're evenly matched. The only thing that Kishan has over Sky is his left-hand batting ability, whereas Sky's right-handed batting. So that adds a point of difference. And also Ishan Kishan adds the difference behind the stumps as well. So he's probably adds more to the team in an all-round sense. But if I'm looking at it in the long term, I'd hopefully pick up the cock again to open the batting and keep for the Mumbai Indians. And I just think Sky is a more dangerous batsman out in the middle. I would rather bowl to Ishan Kishan than Sky. So that's probably why they've kept Sky than Kishan. It's only a small margin, but I think they've done the right thing there because Sky is harder to bowl to. But Dhruva, that is a very, very good question. And I'm probably more biased to Sky as well because I've played a lot with him. I love him. He's got a lot of energy around the group. And that's another thing. In the change rooms, he's got a lot of energy there too, where he can lift the team as well. So that's probably another reason why the Mumbai Indians have invested heavily in him as well. I'm not too sure on Kishan. What's he like around the group? He's a very nice guy. But does he add the same energy as Surya Kumar Yadav? And Surya Kumar Yadav is getting a lot more exposure in the Indian setup as well. So you want those type of players around your group. Dhruva, we both think Sky is the better option than Kishan. So we both agree. Love that, mate. All right, next question, please, Shubs. Priyanshu Singh, how you going? Do you think Chennai should have retained Sam Curran instead of Moen Ali? Look, I can see where you're coming from here. But the thing is, Moen Ali has retired from international cricket, from Test cricket from England. So he hasn't got as much workload on him as Sam Curran, or hasn't got as much exposure to the potential of international cricket with that calendar moving forward. They would have spoken to Moen Ali before the auction and during last season. With the way that he performed out number 3, he's very versatile. We can bat up the order, bat lower down the order. And out Chennai, they've got a spinner on that particular wicket that they can utilise, who's an all-rounder. So looking at their facilities, they're better off with investing in Moen Ali. And with the amount of cricket, it's more likely that Moen Ali is going to come to the IPL than Sam Curran, who's got a heavier workload in his work calendar. So that's probably why they've gone with Moen Ali. They would have talked to him a lot with that, and that's why he's retired from Test cricket, knowing that he was going to be retained from the Chennai Super Kings. So really, conditions, what he's going to play on with his assets of spin and versatile in the batting order, I think Moen Ali is better than Sam Curran. So that's probably what I think with CSK. And when you get in the auction, I think they're going to pick up Sam Curran quite cheaply, because I don't think there'll be too many other teams around the IPL that will be after a Sam Curran, because his type of bowling suits that wicket down in Chennai as well, and he adds that medium pace and all-round ability as well. So very good question there, Priyanshu, and it made me think why they went for Ali. I thought they would have gone with Faf du Plessis over Moen Ali, but just looking at it and explaining it to you, the two dimensions that he adds, it's a bigger investment and a better investment than the other players. Good question, that. Next question, please, Shubs. Tell you what, I'm really enjoying this IPL retention. Akal Chowdhury. Sorry, mate. Akal Chowdhury. Was that right to retain Andre Russell, as he is not in form for quite a long time? Look, I thought it was a big risk to go after Andre Russell. And I probably would have thought that if he did get thrown back into the auction pool, the other two teams, or the two new teams, might have been after him. And that's what I think got him over the line to be retained by KKR. Yes, he's a fast bowler, but he goes out 9 and over. He's injury prone, and with the bat, he's hit and miss. Yes, he makes a fabulous contribution every now and then out the back end with a high strike rate, gets you over the line. But how many times does he does it? How many times does he get injured and walk off the park and not bowl his full quota of overs? They're the questions that I would have asked, would have looked at, and I would have gone into deep detail with the analysis of it. And for me, 12 crore, that's what he would have been asking for. Is he worth it? I don't think so. I reckon around about the 6 crore, the final retention on your list. That's probably where he is worth, Andre Russell, for me. But good luck to him. And now that they've invested heavily in him, and knowing and investing in the West Indies is quite good, because these players that come to the IPL don't play Test cricket. I think it's only Jason Holder that's been playing a bit of Test cricket, but the others don't. They really specialise in T20 cricket. So on the flip side of what I've just said, because he specialises in T20 cricket, it's probably a good investment. And with that extra money, he might work a lot harder to make sure he's fitter and he performs well. I think you've got to coach him a little bit differently. He's one that you need to cuddle and just say, mate, we need you, get behind you. And when you do that, he generally performs a lot. So it's given me a bit of a headache, Andre Russell. I wouldn't have paid 12 crore for him. I would have paid 6 crore for him. But we'll see in the long run. I probably would have spent more on Narayan than Andre Russell. But they've invested heavily in these two particular players over the last 4 years. now, and they've got a good relationship with them. And this is the other thing that I like with KKR and Mumbai Indians and Chennai Super Kings is they really look after the players that have been there for the long term, and they make a big investment in them, and they try and keep them there. So I think Andre Russell is finding his home there, and I think he's going to have a good IPL next year. But I wouldn't have paid that much for him. Next question, please, Shubs. Carl, that's really put me on the back foot there. I wouldn't have paid 12K for him. Adaras Mahakund. I know someone will be laughing at the way I've said that. But Adash, thanks very much for joining me. What about Rashid Khan? Which team would go for him? I think every team will go for him, but it just depends what he wants. And is he going to get the 15 crore or 16 crore with the two teams that have got the option of picking up 3 players? I think that's what he'll be after and hoping for. And with his strike rate, his winning ability with the ball, I think he's worth the investment. But in saying that, when you've got to have some good upfront bowlers to be able to apply the pressure to make him more viable in that middle over phase. Yes, he can control the game, but if you haven't controlled the power play before he comes on, and what I mean by that, if you've gone for a lot of runs in that initial power play and he comes on in that 7th over, all of a sudden the opposition team don't have to go after him, and he's not as potent there. So, yes, invest heavily in him, but then you've got to invest in a quality opening bowler to be able to bowl around him. But for me, I think Lucknow will go after him with Rahul out the helm, and I think that will be a very, very good combination. Okay, next question, please, Shubs. Okay, let's put the glasses back on. Vishwadeep Parmar, how are you going? Most experienced player in mega auction, KL Rahul. The mega auction, I don't think it will actually get to the auction. I think Lucknow are going to pick him up for the prize 15 crore, and I think he'll be very happy with that. And I think if he was still in the auction out the end and didn't want to go there, would RCB go after him? That means that they've spent heavily on 3 players, 3 frontline batsmen, and it doesn't leave much in the pie to go after some decent bowlers. So for me, he's going to end up Lucknow. And I think he wants to start fresh. He wants to be at the helm of a new franchise. He wants to lead that new franchise and develop a culture and deliver something special. So for me, I think we'll see him out Lucknow. We won't see him out one of the frontline 8 teams. Have we got any more questions? No, there's no more questions. Thanks very much for joining me, guys. That was something special to talk about the retention of the auction. For me, looking at it, I think Rajasthan Royals, Sunrisers Hyderabad, investing in youth as well as a little bit of experience have done wonders for their 2 franchises, and they're going to have a better season next year in 2019, and they're going to be a little bit more competitive. Obviously, the other teams have made some outstanding decisions, but those 2 have changed their ways, and I'm loving what I'm seeing. Thanks very much for joining me, guys. Enjoy the test match between India and New Zealand, and Pakistan and Bangladesh around the corner as well, and the Ashes is nearly here. Stay safe, guys. Love you all. Thanks for joining me on Hogs Vlog.